Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Follow the Moon Rabbit. I'm Michelle, and this is my podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is actually unscripted and not part of what I had aligned for the month of January. This is going to be unscripted, and perhaps that's what the podcast is actually going to end up being. It's unscripted. Because flying by the seat of my pants right now. I was doing the dishes and I was thinking about how I came to answer the question, what is my purpose? And a lot of that came about with trying to uncover how to live from a space of survival into a space of thriving. So, um, yeah, here's your trigger warning in case you are not comfortable hearing about traumatic things like domestic violence or SA or ED, then because I can't say whether or not I'm going to go into detail today, if it's not something you're comfortable hearing about, then by all means, please disregard this podcast today. Because I am going to talk about some of the things that I experienced, and those are those are the things that I experienced. So, yeah, on that note, I, first and foremost, I am a spiritual individual. I have always been connected to the supernatural. And that came with an incredible amount of judgment growing up in my life. So, my my mom and my dad are people that were hurt growing up. So they basically were passing on their ancestral trauma. Okay. Um, and they used substances to cope with their their growing up and their history of their lives. And when I was growing up, that was something that I was incredibly aware of, that no matter what I did in my life, I would not be like them and I would not use substances because of just how debilitating it was for them to make normal, rash decisions in their lives. And seeing how horrible the substances that they were using was just making the world around them, you know? They were so wrapped up in their own selves and their own hurt and their own trauma that they weren't available to be parents. And so that stuff got passed down on me. I had to grow up really quickly, and my growing up was very much about how to survive. Like, what am I going to do to protect myself? How do I try to preserve my safety and well-being? Because I was in danger a lot as a young person. Um, I experienced my first SA when I was 4, and the next one when I was 5. Um, by family members, by family, and these are people that are supposed to protect you and love you, and they didn't. So seeing and experiencing what I saw and experienced and being treated the way I was treated, I had an incredibly challenging time navigating the world around me, being an incredibly spiritual person. And when I was trying to communicate as a young person that I was seeing what I was seeing and experiencing what I was seeing or experiencing, um, my mom, being a devout Southern Baptist, uh, turned that dialogue into it's the devil, or that's evil, or we don't talk about those things because you might be mentally ill, stuff like that. So I had to keep my spiritual self and the supernatural that I was experiencing to myself. And then on top of that, I was experiencing trauma in my home, which was also something we weren't allowed to talk about. We couldn't tell anybody about that because then we were going to get in trouble for saying anything to anyone about it. So, being someone who had to navigate an incredibly complex world, transmuting energy on a constant basis, I am at this stage a master of being a phoenix. I will burn and rejuvenate repeatedly. However, when Spirit asked me to step back into being more fully present spiritually last year, and by last year, I mean December of 2023, I was nervous because I had shut the doors in May of 2018 after my mom passed away. I didn't want to communicate with her. I didn't want to communicate with any of the deceased individuals that were trying to communicate with me. I didn't want to communicate with any spirit guides. I didn't want to communicate with anything. I'd seen enough. I was done. I wanted to go be normal, have a normal life. And then I experienced some health issues from 2020 to 2023. And Spirit was like, hey, you've got two choices. You can continue to deny who you are and what you are, and you're going to go down this road that's going to end pretty abruptly, or you can come back and lean into who you are supposed to be. And I chose to come back and be who I'm supposed to be. So, in December of 2023, when Spirit said, hey, we need you to make a choice, and I said, okay, fine, I'm in it. Let's go. Let's do the thing. What do you want? And they're like, well, let's start with some simple things. And I did. And they're like, now we need you to get comfortable with talking about these things, but not these things. And it's like, okay, well, by the time 2024 was incoming, my life was taking a change. I'm so familiar with these ebbs and flows. Like at this point, it's just, well, I mean, it is what it is. Like, again, I will burn bridges and I will burn myself and rejuvenate all brand new. I am a master of transformation and ascension at this point. So I was experiencing something at my previous employer, and I said, okay, that's it. I've gone as far as I can go. I've done as much as I can do. And me and my boyfriend, Louis, we're in the throes of transition. So let's go all the way. I resigned from my position. We packed up and we moved north. And when we got here, I made an absolute no bargaining deal with him that I was going to focus on two things: my spiritual content and moving from a state of survival to thriving. And that the decision to transition was the absolute best decision for us. Absolutely the best decision. Because now I'm in a very safe, protected bubble and exploring all aspects of what it means to thrive, which I'm going to be honest, I am today years old learning how to thrive. So today, I was thinking about, because I was running around doing chores, doing the things that I have to do, like grocery shop, stuff like that. I was thinking about when I came home and I put everything away and I was cleaning up the kitchen, how this part of my journey has led me to discovering my purpose, and how there are so many people in the world who have experienced the same types of things that I've experienced, some worse, some not so bad. And the like they don't know. They don't know that the way that they were raised, the things that they were taught, the way that they were treated is wrong. Like they don't know that it's not okay to be talked the way that they're talked to, and taught the things that they were taught, or treated the way they were treated, or any of those things. And it's just continuously perpetrating this environment of toxicity and hurt. It's yeah, blows my mind. It blows my mind. A friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, was here for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and he was sharing his thoughts about how some people just deserve to get, punched in the mouth, because there's not enough people in the world who understand what the consequences of their actions are. And initially I was like, yeah, you know what? I grew up in a generation where that was a true story. If you're gonna, step up to the plate, either gonna take the blow or you're gonna throw the blow. Because that's how I survived. And then I was thinking about it today. And I'm like, wait, that's how I survived. That's the thing. That's how we're surviving. Like, why are we still trying to survive shit? Why are we still perpetrating these ideologies of survival? Why are we still passing this shit on? It's toxic. Why are we continuing to do the toxic thing? Well, because that's what we know. There's people out there who are not interested in your well being. There's a lot of people out there who are not interested in your well being. That's what it comes down to. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. However, if you are in a state of survival, you're not going to know what it means to thrive. And if you don't know what it means to thrive, then you're not going to do the good things in the world. You're not going to do the right things in the world. You're going to be a slave. And that's what it comes down to, slavery. Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual slavery. So, I'm not going to remain a slave. And I don't plan on letting anyone who listens to this do that either. It's time to pause, take a moment, and assess what our true mission is, what our true purpose is, what our true calling is. What are we really supposed to be doing in this world? What we're really supposed to be doing is thriving. We are creators. We are amazing creators. Every single one of us. I've had the opportunity to see what it looks like when you support someone who's moving from a state of survival to thriving. Like, I've been that bridge. I have been that gateway. I have been that key for somebody who hit rock bottom and they had nowhere else to go and they were scared and they needed help and I've been that person. I have been a resource. I have been a tool. I have been the cheerleader. I have had the opportunity of seeing what it looks like when you have the sight that I have of seeing someone's highest and best good. When they come to you in their fear, and yet I can see beyond their fear. I can see their higher selves. And I can tell them, hey, guess what? I can see where you should go. I believe in you. When somebody absolutely comes to you terrified and that little piece is unlocked, and all of a sudden they have the safety net, they go and do great things. I've seen people turn their lives from being a welfare mom to a nurse. I've seen people turn their lives from being a welfare mom to a business owner. I've seen people be a welfare dad to owning their own restaurant. I've seen what happens when you believe in somebody, when you give them the space of safety and security, when you take them away from the thoughts of trauma and scarcity and feed them the nourishment of unlimited possibility. It's funny. I've seen it. I've done it. I've helped other people. And here I am today, years old, still learning how to thrive. Because what I want to achieve is something beyond those things. I want to be a philanthropist. I want to call in millions upon millions and just spread the joy everywhere. I'm not talking about Mr. Beast, okay? Because he's got drama following him. I don't want none of that. And I don't want to make it a public thing either. I don't want to go around making YouTube videos about, hey, look at me. I built, water wells in Africa and I, gave a kid $1,000 shopping spree. I don't want to do those things. I don't think it should be publicized. That's not what I'm thinking. It doesn't need to be publicized. Although I'm fully going to be transparent about what I'm doing. I don't want to make it publicized. There's a difference. Anyway, my goal is to be a philanthropist. I want to support the arts. I want to support people with creativity. I want to inspire people to move away from the trauma and the toxicity. I want to be more like, I guess, Kendrick Lamar, Like, I want to see people see and lead. I want to lead by that example, and I want to show people how to do it. Okay, so coming back to what is my purpose? What is your purpose? What is our purpose? So I was doing the dishes, and I was thinking about trauma and how hard it is growing up with heritage trauma, right? Like, when you grow up around these things and there's nobody showing you any different, there's nobody showing you or telling you or teaching you how to live a different way or think a different way, it's incredibly hard to break away from the things that we don't know, and then to try and reach for the things that, I have no idea where I'm trying to get. I'm resourceful. I will always find a way. I'm also incredibly stubborn, but there's a lot of people who do not know how to access this knowledge. You could read books, and trust me, I've been on this path for a long time. I've read self-help books. I've read astrology books. I've read numerology books. I've read all kinds of different books. I've gone through therapy. I've gone through classes. I've hired coaches. I've hired mentors. It wasn't until recently when I discovered that there was a whole new way of doing complex PTSD that I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to give that a go. I'll try it. I'm down. This has been wow, okay, this is the difference. This is the thing that I needed. Because I have complex PTSD and my brain is neurodivergent, and typical mindfulness therapy wasn't what I needed. I needed something else. I needed more. I've been doing Reiki. I've done all of these things. Logistically, from a spiritual standpoint, Spirit said, Michelle, you're a shaman. Here, let's go through death repeatedly until you get to where we want you to be. Because you're a shaman. I don't like using the word shaman because I don't feel qualified for it. However, that's what Spirit says. You do psychopomp. Bye. Have fun. Okay. I have gods and goddesses showing up. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I don't know what you want. But okay. Whatever. And they're all saying the same thing. Tell your story. And while I have scripted out podcasts on, how to deal with manifestations and stuff like that, this one right here, while I was doing my dishes, Spirit was like, we want it unscripted. So it's going to be messy. Perhaps that's the way Spirit has always wanted it to be. Messy. So, doing the dishes, thinking about my trauma, thinking about how hard it is to escape. For me, how hard it was to break from that cycle, and how hard it is to transition from surviving to thriving. In a good way. That in here, in this last 6-month period, is where I discovered my purpose. And I had an aha moment. And I said, oh, Spirit said, oh, guess what? We need to tell the world. We need to tell everybody. This is how you know your purpose. This is how you know. Your purpose is to be the person that little you needed you to be. Be that person for yourself, and then go be that person for the world. That is your purpose. I have studied this concept for decades. Being a little person who was raised around trauma, being a little person who was robbed of the ability to flourish and thrive in a safe space where I had creative license to do whatever I wanted, to explore the world around me. I was robbed of those things. And so I have literally struggled with the concept of What is my purpose? What am I good at? What am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm a great psychologist because I was a mediator for my mom and dad. I'm a great listening ear. I know how to listen to everybody's problems because all I ever fucking did was listen to everything around me to make sure that I was safe. I'm an excellent analyzer because all I ever do was be hyper focused on the world around me to make sure that I wasn't gonna die. What what am I supposed to be doing? How am I going to do anything when all of these skills, all of these natural abilities, and I'm using air quotes for those who cannot see, these are all products of my growing up in survival. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. It is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Einstein said that. We all know. I don't want to do this. Not anymore. So, what was my purpose? For somebody who's walking around this planet saying, I have no purpose. I'm such a this, that, and the other. I have low vibrational energy because I was told that I'm worthless and I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm blah, 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 blah. These things that we are told, I want you to really take stock in where it's coming from. I want you to think about the source, okay? Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. Misery loves company. And when you are walking away from that, when you turn away and you say, I will not continue this, there's a lot of shit that happens. Because all of a sudden, the damaged world around you will try and sink their claws into you, and they will do everything in their power to pull you in and pull you back down because you're going someplace that they don't know how to get to and are too afraid to go. It doesn't matter if it's your friends or your family or your coworkers, whatever the case may be. When you make the choice to leave the bullshit behind, when you decide, I'm fucking done with this bullshit, I am not going to continue and be the doormat that you constantly stomp on. I want to go thrive. Oh, hell. I cannot tell you how ugly it gets because it's ugly. It gets real ugly. The world around you responds in such a disgusting way. It's like it tries harder at that point. They're like, wait, you thought that you wanted to go live your life somehow? Please. I don't think so. We're going to pull you in. We're going to get uglier. We're going to say meaner things. We're going to do meaner things. We're going to try and gaslight you into believing that this world that you're in currently is totally where you should be. It's what's comfortable. It's what's familiar. Do not fall prey to that. Do not. Be the person little you needed you to be. Love yourself unconditionally. Support yourself. Hold yourself. Hug yourself. Give yourself praise. Give yourself all of the adoration. Congratulate yourself. Do things that bring you joy, bring you excitement, bring you a sense of awe and mystery. Be creative, be playful, explore what's around you. Nature hikes, wildlife, don't get too close to the bears. Explore the world. Be the person little you needed you to be. And that doesn't mean like, oh, go on a $10,000 shopping spree and do all the drugs in the world, because that's not what little you needs. What little you really needs is to be abundantly loved and abundantly supported. And when you can be that for yourself, the next step in your purpose is to go be that person for the world. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be a super huge, like, big thing. You don't have to announce it to the world either. Little things. Donate some time in a soup kitchen. Organize nature walks with kids. Like, in a holistic, wholesome way, not a creepy way, please. Donate time and energy to the arts. When you start nurturing and supporting the little you within yourself, you then start to discover what little you wants to express to the world. Hell, you could be the next big YouTuber, the next big singer. You could, if you're someone like me who wants to learn how to play a cello, you could go find a used cello or a guitar. Like, I have a guitar. Whatever the case may be. When you are taking care of that inner person, that little person inside, read it bedtime stories. Give it time to color. Give it time to draw. Give your little person time to eat an ice cream in the park. Take little you for walks. Take little you to an amusement park. Go to Disneyland, whatever. Make you little you a pancake. Give little you a cup of hot cocoa with some cozies. When you start taking those steps towards taking care of little you, giving little you safety and security, that's when little you starts to grow and flourish. And then you start doing those little you things out in the world, and magic happens. Now, I'm not saying don't get therapy. By all means, if you need a therapist, find yourself a good therapist, and do not ever be afraid to fire a fucking stupid therapist. I'm telling you right now, as somebody who has A, been to therapy, and B, been somebody who's coached people, do not ever be afraid to fire your therapist or your coach. Because the coach and a good therapist and a good coach, worth their grain of salt, their job is to be fired. They want to be in a space where you don't need them anymore. You have done the work that you need to do with them, and now you're ready to level up to something else. That's excellent. That's good. They want you to be fired. Or they want to be fired. Yes. They want to be fired. Also, though, if you have a shitty coach or a shitty therapist, again, fire them. If they are not doing anything for you, fire them. If they are not giving you any tools or resources that you find to be helpful, fire them. Tell them, I'm not finding the benefit in this and I want to move to something else or somebody else that can give me more opportunity. Plus, it gives them, the therapist, the opportunity to reassess what they're utilizing to help you, right? I have gone through plenty of therapists that helped me explore what was wrong and explore ways to navigate that, right? So for me, I've used cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay. That's incredibly powerful stuff. It helped. It did. It wasn't until, my mid to late 30s that I found out that I have complex PTSD. That diagnosis alone really made an aha moment for me, because then I was able to understand what that meant and how my brain worked, because I didn't realize that I was really that in that much of a state of survival. It wasn't until last year, late actually December 2023, that I found a psychologist who was willing to work with me with complex PTSD, and I learned about the ACT method, which was incredibly helpful in helping me navigate from the transition of leaving that world that I was in behind to come here and be here in this world. Now that I'm here, I've stepped it up a notch. I'm now using EMDR. That's EMDR for my complex PTSD. And for some people, it's wonderful. For others, not so much. For myself and my little sister, it's been incredibly helpful. This has literally been helping me navigate from that space of survival to thriving. It has provided me ample opportunity to connect deeper into my spiritual essence. I also hired an intuition coach. Some of you may know her. Her name is Valerie, the Intuition Witch. She has been absolutely pivotal in me reconnecting with my intuition, honing in my skills, and being able to clearly discern the wisdom that I'm receiving from spirit. I just hired, as I'm recording this is January 3rd, right? Yeah, January 3rd. So last night on January 2nd, I hired I purchased a new coaching package to help me with doing the content, because I'm really wanting to learn more about this. I want my podcast to be impactful, right? And before I did it, I had to sit with myself and really tap into, what I felt about it. Is it something that I need? Is it something that I want? Is it something that's going to be useful? Is it going to be something that's going to be productive? Because I'm so used to being in a state of scarcity and a state of survival that the idea of spending money on something like that was like, well, that's a luxury. And that's my air quotes again. That's a luxury purchase. Just like when I hired Valerie, I had to sit with that for a hot minute and think about, well, do I need it? Do I want it? Is it going to be beneficial? So on and so forth. Because it's a lot of money and that's a luxury. No. I'm here to tell you. Those were necessities that I purchased because these are things that are helping me do what I want, and that's to thrive. I will not stay in a space of scarcity. I will not stay in a space of lack. If I'm going to be a philanthropist, hello, got to move away from that space of there's not enough to there's more than enough. Always more than enough, because I have plenty to share with everybody, right? Plenty of energy, plenty of health, plenty of everything. So last night when I purchased this package, and I was thinking about, do I have enough? Oh yeah, I have enough. I have more than enough. And my little self was excited. My little self danced a little jig of glee and was super happy because we're going to learn something new and we're going to do something creative and it's going to be fun. And I'm so excited. That is when you know you're in alignment. That is when you know you are serving your purpose. You are experiencing joy. If it feels good, it's good. If it feels joyful, it's right. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel joyful, if it doesn't feel like it nourishes your soul, then it is not for you and it's not the right thing. It is not your purpose. It is not your mission. It is not your path. Get the fuck off of it. Your purpose, your mission is to nurture your little you, to flourish, to thrive. Stop being a fucking slave. Stop pretending to be something you're not. That is incredibly challenging. I'm telling you by experience, me being authentically me, vulnerable here with you, sharing my fucking story with you is so scary. I don't like talking about my past. I don't like talking about my upbringing. I don't like talking about those things. Those things are like bad words in my mouth. It's a low vibration. And to be associated with that kind of garbage, it's garbage, it's toxic, it's waste. Basura. To talk about those things means that I'm affiliated or associated with it in some way. And I feel dirty when I talk about those things. How do I share a story that I don't want to associate with? Well, guess what? I am thriving now. That experience, that's not me. Something that I taught when I was an instructor for people who were on welfare, trying to get off of welfare. Your current situation, your current circumstance is not who you are and should not define you. Those are incredibly powerful words. And the reason why I would teach those words is because those were words that I lived by. I was not going to allow my past experiences, the things that I had to endure, be the thing that defined me as a person, nor be the reason why I did not elevate to the next level. It also meant not speaking about those things too, because if I spoke about them, then that means that it existed. And I didn't want that to exist. I didn't want that to be my reality. I wanted my reality to be something more beautiful, more safe, more serene, more peaceful. Even if it meant I was still surviving. But now that I take care of my little me, now that I nurture my little me, it's okay to talk about those ugly things. Those were nightmares. They existed. It happened. Nobody else is going to be able to get out of that situation unless it's talked about, right? We have to just kind of put that elephant out there in the room and then acknowledge it, and then we have to put the elephant where it belongs, somewhere else. It doesn't belong in our world. It belongs back out in the jungle, right? Wherever you came from, it's time for you to go back. It's time for you to be put away. Let's just face the reality here. Shit's not going to change if we don't start actually acknowledging the fact that shit's bad and it needs to be changed. So let's stop pretending like, the world around us is hunky-dory. It's not. Okay? It doesn't matter what you believe politically or religiously or spiritually or whatever. It doesn't matter if you're a person of color or you're not. Things are not going to get better until we acknowledge the fact that things are not good. And we're not going to be able to survive this if we don't acknowledge that it's time to move from a state of survival into a state of thriving. So it's time to stop being slaves. And the first step is to take care of your little you first. And then big you will start taking care of the little yous that are out there. And your tribes will start to connect. So, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you've gotten something from this story. This is going to be the first podcast that goes up because Spirit said this is what needs to go up first. So, beautiful souls, thank you for listening. Remember, follow the moon, shoot for the stars, and know that you're loved. Bye-bye.